The Ultimate Showdown. Deku vs Koichi, a battle of power versus speed. In the expansive world of My Hero Academia, few theoretical matchups spark as much debate as a confrontation between Izuku Midoriya, also known as Deku, at 100% power, and Koichi Haimawari, also known as the Carler. These two represent fundamentally different approaches to combat. Deku embodies overwhelming concentrated power while Koichi epitomizes lightning-fast evasion and precise strikes. At first glance, Deku's arsenal of ability seems insurmountable, it has never faced before. This comprehensive analysis will explore every facet of this hypothetical battle, examining not just their obvious strengths and weaknesses, but also delving into the less frequently considered factors that could determine the outcome. We'll analyze their power sets in exhaustive detail, explore how their abilities would interact in combat, consider environmental factors, and even examine psychological elements that could influence the fight. By the end, we'll have a complete picture on how this battle would unfold, and who would most likely emerge victorious. Hey guys, if you guys like my content, give this video a like, and if you haven't checked out the rest of my catalog of videos, or even watched one of my playlists, check those out. Also, comment down below and tell me your thoughts on who will win this fight down below. Deku's Arsenal, the complete breakdown. One for all, the foundation of power. At 100% capacity, Deku's mastery of One for All represents the pinnacle of raw destructive capabilities in the My Hero Academia universe. This singular quirk grants him superhuman strength that allows him to level city blocks with single punches and alter weather patterns with his most powerful attacks. The energy output at this level is staggering. Calculations based on his final smash attack suggest multi-continental levels of force. However, raw power alone doesn't win battles, especially against an opponent who specializes in never being where the attack lands. What makes Deku particularly dangerous isn't just raw strength itself, but how he learned to wield it. Early in his training, 100% power would shatter his limbs, but now he can utilize it with precise control. This means he can deliver devastating blows without self-damage that would previously have made full power unsustainable. His combat style has evolved from reckless smashing to calculated, strategic applications of overwhelming force, a crucial development that makes him far more dangerous than he was during his first year at UA. Blackwhip, the versatile combat multiplier. The tendrils of Blackwhip represent one of Deku's most versatile tools in this matchup. These energy constructs serve multiple functions. They can be used offensively to restrain opponents, defensively to create barriers, or for mobility to swing through urban environments. Against a speedster like Koichi, Deku would most likely employ Blackwhip in several key ways. First, he could use the tendrils to control the space, creating a web of energy strands that limit Koichi's movement options. Second, he might attempt to use them as grappling tools, trying to snatch Koichi out of air when he gets within range. Third, Deku could anchor himself with Blackwhip to make sudden directional changes mid-air, attempting to compensate for Koichi's superior air maneuverability. The effectiveness of these tactics could depend heavily on whether Deku can predict Koichi's movements patterns accurately enough to intercept him. Float and aerial combat limitations. Float grants Deku true flight capabilities, removing his dependency on ground-based movements. This is crucial against an opponent like Koichi who dominates three-dimensional space. However, there are significant limitations in how Deku can use his ability in combat. Unlike Koichi's repulsion-based flight, which allows for instantaneous directional change and rapid acceleration, Float provides more sustained but less dynamic movement. Deku can't stop on a dime to make sharp turns at high speeds. His aerial maneuvers would be more gradual, making him predictable against an opponent who can react at lightning speeds. This creates a fundamental disadvantage in aerial engagement where Koichi could easily outmaneuver him. Danger Sense, the critical equalizer. Perhaps Deku's most valuable asset in this matchup is Danger Sense. This precognitive ability gives him split-second warnings about incoming attacks, effectively functioning as a limited form of future sight. Against Koichi's hit-and-run tactics, this could be the difference between being overwhelmed immediately and being able to mount some defense. However, Danger Sense has an important limitation. First, it only detects malicious intent, meaning Deku wouldn't get any warnings about environmental hazards or accidental collisions. Second, while it improves reaction time, it doesn't enhance physical speed. Deku might know an attack is coming but still lack the physical capabilities to dodge or block effectively against that speed. Third, prolonged use causes headache and mental fatigue, which could compound with the physical strain of maintaining 100% power. Smokescreen, the potential wild card. Smokescreen creates a dense purple smoke that obscures vision, theoretically giving Deku opportunities to set up attacks or escape unfavorable positions. Against most opponents, this would be a valuable tool, but against Koichi, its effectiveness is questionable. Koichi's repulsion can disperse smoke, and his speed means he can exit any smoke-filled area almost instantaneously. Most importantly, Koichi doesn't rely on visual targeting. His repulsion blast can be fired in sweeping patterns to cover areas, making visibility less crucial. Smoke might briefly disrupt his aim, but it doesn't provide the tactical advantage it would against other opponents. Fa Zheng and Gear Shift, closing the speed gap. These two quirks represent Deku's best tools for potentially countering Koichi's speed advantage. Fa Zheng stores kinetic energy from repeated movements, allowing for sudden bursts of enhanced speed and power. Gear Shift is even more potent, enabling Deku to manipulate his own velocity, effectively allowing him to accelerate beyond normal limits. The critical question is whether these abilities can bridge the enormous speed gap between them. While they undoubtedly enhance Deku's mobility, there is no evidence that they elevate him to Mach 1282 speeds. Even with these speeds, Koichi would likely maintain a significant speed advantage. Moreover, both quirks place an additional strain on Deku's body, exacerbating his stamina issues in prolonged fights. Stamina, the Arshos Hill. Deku's greatest weakness in this matchup isn't any lack of power, it's endurance. Maintaining 100% alone is tremendously taxing, and layering multiple quirks on top of that dramatically increases the strain. Historical precedent shows the extended use of his quirk leaves him exhausted and vulnerable. Against an opponent like Koichi who can prolong fights indefinitely, this is a critical vulnerability. Every minute the battle continues, Deku's effectiveness decreases while Koichi remains fresh. This creates a race against time. Deku needs to land a decisive blow quickly, but Koichi's speed makes that extremely difficult. Before I discuss Koichi, you guys still haven't watched my Gojo video. I would really appreciate if you guys watch it and comment on that video. Tell me on that video what you liked and disliked about it. If not, I can't improve my content if you don't tell me why you're not watching the video. Koichi's Arsenal, the Speed Demon Toolkit. Repulsion, the foundation of mobility. Koichi's Slide and Glide ability has evolved far beyond his initial presentation. What began as a simple ground hovering has developed into three-dimensional flight with unparalleled maneuverability. The key advantage of repulsion-based movement is its instantaneous response. Koichi can change directions or accelerate to full speed without any buildup, making his movements unpredictable and difficult to track. This gives him complete control of engagement distance. He can close in to deliver attacks and retreat before the counter can land, maintaining optimal positioning throughout the fight. Against a powerhouse like Deku, this ability to dictate the terms of engagement is invaluable. Repulsion Blast, the precise striking. Koichi's offensive capabilities shouldn't be underestimated. While individual repulsion blasts don't match Deku's destructive power, their cumulative effect is substantial. At 712 tons of TNT equivalent per blast, repeated hits would wear down even Deku's considerable durability. What makes these attacks particularly dangerous is in their versatility. Koichi can fire single, precise shots, rapid barrages, or charged attacks for greater impact. He can ricochet blast off surfaces, to attack from unexpected angles, or blanket an area with suppressing fire. Against an opponent who can't match his speed, this creates a constant barrage that's difficult to completely defend against. Defensive repulsion, the last line of defense. While not as robust as dedicated defensive quirks, Koichi's ability to generate repulsive force fields provides valuable protection. They likely couldn't completely stop a direct 100% smash, but they could weaken or deflect glancing blows, potentially turning fatal hits into survivable ones. Most importantly, these defenses work in tandem with his mobility. The force fields are primarily for emergencies where his speed fails to keep him completely out of harm's way. Against Deku's Blackwhip, they might provide crucial movements of resistance to prevent being completely restrained. Tactical Brilliance, the mind behind the speed. Koichi's greatest strength isn't just his quirk, it's how he uses it. Throughout Vigilantes, he demonstrated remarkable combat intelligence, constantly adapting his tactics to counter stronger opponents. Against Deku, we can expect several key strategies. First, he would maintain optimal distance, close enough to land attacks but far enough to react to Deku's movements. Second, he would vary his attack pattern to prevent Deku from establishing a defensive rhythm. Third, he would exploit environmental factors, using terrain to limit Deku's mobility while enhancing his own. The tactical flexibility makes Koichi more dangerous than his raw power suggests. He doesn't just rely on being faster, he uses that speed intelligently to control the flow of battle. Less considered factors in the matchup. Environmental consideration. The battlefield setting could significantly influence the fight outcome. In an urban environment with abundant structures, Deku could use Blackwhip for enhanced mobility, and to limit Koichi's movement options. The buildings would provide surfaces for ricochet attacks, but also obstacles that could hinder Koichi's flight paths. Conversely, in an open area, Koichi's speed advantage would even be more pronounced with unlimited movement space. Without environmental factors for Blackwhip, Deku would lose some mobility, while Koichi could attack from any direction without restriction. Psychological factors. Deku's tendency to analyze opponents could work against him. His battle IQ might help him predict Koichi's patterns, but overanalysis could slow his reactions. Koichi has more experience fighting stronger opponents, giving him mental resilience, but Deku's sheer power might induce more caution than usual. Quirk Interaction possibilities. An interesting consideration is whether Gear Shift could affect Koichi's repulsion. If Deku could alter the velocity of Koichi's flight or blast, it might temporarily disrupt his movements. However, there is no precedent for Gear Shift working on energy projections rather than physical objects, making this uncertain. Before diving into the conclusion, I want to address and debunk some misconceptions in the comments. Aoyama's laser is not light speed. His beam passes through a lens in his belt, which slows it down. Light travels at 300,000 kilometers per second in a vacuum, but slows down to 200,000 kilometers per second in glass. Since his laser is refracted, it can't maintain true light speed. 2. Reacting to Aoyama's laser is aim dodging. His belt visibly lights up before firing, giving an opponent a clear warning. Anticipating the attack doesn't equal dodging at light speed. 3. Speed scaling in MHA doesn't support light speed reaction. Even Edge Shot, one of the fastest heroes, is stated to attack at sound speed. Most characters struggle to dodge bullets, let alone relativistic beams. 4. 13's light destruction quirk is scientifically flawed. Light consists of massless photons which can't be destroyed at an atomic level. This further proves Aoyama's beams aren't true light. 5. Stars and Stripes dodging Shigaraki's attack was actually a form of aim dodging, anticipating the trajectory before the strike lands. While it doesn't appear that way at first glance, she must have predicted the path of the radio waves to the point that her simple command, evade, was enough to guide everyone, including herself and the jets, out of harm's way. Also, you can't be stupid enough to believe that the X-66 fighter jet, which have been stated to move at Mach 2, can somehow move at relativistic speeds to evade radio waves. That's just pure headcanon. Given the situation, there are only 2 logical explanations. She and the fighter jets aim dodge the attack by reacting to its startup or trajectory. Option B, she subtly activated New World Order without the explicit reveal. When she commanded evade, that was the cue of her power had taken effect, enhancing her own and the jet's reflexes to avoid the attack. The verdict. After examining all factors such as abilities, tactics, environment, and psychology, the most likely outcome is a hard-fought victory for Koichi. His speed advantage is simply too great for Deku to overcome consistently, and his ability to prolong fights plays perfectly against Deku's stamina limitations. While Deku certainly has paths to victory, they require near-perfect execution against an opponent designed to prevent exactly that. In the end, this matchup represents the world of heroes, in that power isn't everything. Anyways, that's it for today. Give this video a like, subscribe, share the video, comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time.